Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to She Rises Studios Women in Finance Workshop. My name is Hannah Olivas, and I will be one of your hosts today. I am truly honored and excited to be speaking with some of the most incredible women experts across the country who are going to share with you their insights and knowledge on women in finance, investing, and everything you need to know. I want to thank each and every one of them for coming on today. We are going to be joined with Sue Herera. We are going to be hearing from Dr. Shelby Decker. We will be hearing from Heather Stokes Benton. We will be hearing from Martina Kwan, as well as Adriana Luna Carlos. And I can't even begin to tell you how hard we have worked to bring this event to you. And the women who are speaking for you today are here to give you that guidance and knowledge that I feel we truly, truly, truly need to stand in our lane this year in 2023 and moving forward in the finance industry. So we've broken it down into speakers, topics, and if you are able to stay with us all the way till the end, during each speech, I encourage you to type in questions and comments, and we will do a live Q&A session. So without further ado, my very first speaker that we're going to have on today is the one and only Sue Herera. Sue Herera, most of you know, she doesn't really need any intro other than she's extraordinary. But she is the CNBC anchor woman. She is now traveling, doing all kinds of different things. But her passion remains the same, and that is finance, women in finance. So I would love to bring her on.
Hi, Hannah.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Wonderful. All right, Sue, take it away. So you're going to talk to us about basics of investing for women.
Exactly. I thought I would just maybe put it out as kind of a platform that everybody can talk about and add on to as we go through these other wonderful speakers. But in my career, one of the things that I've found, especially with women, is they do not invest in themselves readily. I think, women are so good at so many different things, but most of us feel like we have to take care of everybody else before we take care of ourselves. So one of the things that I recommend, and I recommend this to my daughters, I have twin daughters who are now, they're going to be 20, yikes, in July. And I have a teenage son, he's going to be 18. And I talk to them about investing in themselves, but especially my daughters. If you invest in yourself physically, you keep yourself healthy, you do all the things you need to do for yourself physically, emotionally, really nurture yourself, and then turn towards financially being independent. If you kind of combine those three items, I think it will make you feel empowered. And being empowered is very powerful and useful as you go through your career, as you go through your life. So every woman should start at a basic level of investing in themselves. And one of the basics is to understand what investing is. It is taking money that you have that you can afford to put someplace else, whether that's in a bank, in a brokerage firm, in the cookie jar, wherever it is. And you also have to understand that if you're going to put that money someplace other than the cookie jar, it probably involves a little bit of risk. Investing involves risk, but investing is incredibly rewarding, both financially and emotionally, if you look at it as a long-term project. So the first thing you have to do is invest in yourself, set a budget, pay yourself first, pay the bills, pay everything you need to do, but make sure you leave a little bit of money to invest in yourself. The next thing I think you need to do is take a look at what your risk tolerance really is. Can you afford to put that money in an investment vehicle that might lose value? The stock market is a crazy place sometimes. So make sure you can pass what's called the sleep test, where you're not laying awake at night thinking, oh my God, I hope the stock market doesn't go down again tomorrow. you don't want to have that kind of stress in your life. So maybe if you can't stand a lot of risk, you look at more conservative investments. But the basic idea is to start to invest in yourselves, to realize that if you continue to invest in yourself and your investments grow, that gives you leverage. That gives you power. And that's what a lot of women don't realize. Let's say, for example, you're stuck in a job where it's a difficult environment, either emotionally difficult or it's a difficult working environment. The workload is too heavy. It's taking time away from your family. If you have a nest egg, if you have some investments, you may be able to say, you know what? Thanks for this opportunity, but I'm going to leave. I'm going to look for something else. If you don't have that cash cushion or that investment cushion, you don't have that leverage. And leverage is a really important thing for women in the workplace. And it doesn't matter what you do. You're in the workplace and you deserve to work in an environment that is conducive to your long-term success. If you have that extra cushion, you probably will have more leverage and you'll feel a little bit more empowered to either stay at the job you're in and maybe try and change things internally, or leave and find something that you think would be better for you. The other thing that I would recommend is make sure you build up an emergency fund. Even a small one will help. We all saw during the pandemic, people that, their finances really, in some cases, were in chaos. If you have that little nest egg, if something goes wrong, you're not going to have to tap into those investments, which might have tax consequences. Instead, you can use that small nest egg to get you through those hard times. If you are working at a job with an employer that has a 401k, which is an investment savings retirement plan, you definitely want to participate in that. If they have what's called a matching plan, definitely enroll in that. What that means for most employers is if you put aside and invest in the 401k a certain percentage of money, the company will match that percentage. It's free money. And a lot of people don't take advantage of that. The other thing, if you work for an employer that has educational grants, take a look at whether you, your children, your spouse, if you want to go for a higher degree, or maybe you don't have a degree, but you'd like to get a degree, there are a number of larger employers that offer educational grants, some of which you don't even have to pay back. So that's an opportunity for you to invest in yourself. It's different from traditional financial investments, but long-term, it's a big investment in yourself. The other thing, Hannah, that I've noticed lately is everyone seems to be getting on the bandwagon of buying a house. As interest rates go up, people want to get into the real estate market. That's great. Just make sure you can afford it. A lot of people do not take into consideration the maintenance on a house, the taxes on a house, the basic upkeep, the HOA fees if you live in a planned community. So if you want to make one of your investments real estate, just realize that there are different layers to that investment and make sure you set it all out when you're putting together that budget. Keep an eye on your money. I can't tell you how many people get those statements by email from their bank or from Fidelity or from TD, Ameritrade, whatever it is, and they don't look at it. I look at all of my statements. I have a business account and we have a family account. I logged onto my business account one day and I saw a service charge. I don't have service charges on my business account, but there was one there. If I hadn't looked at it, and it wasn't a small amount of money either, I thought, what is this? They had made a mistake. And so, you need to keep an eye on your money. It's your money. You need to take care of it, and you need to nurture it, and you need to invest in yourself. Higher interest rates, and I'm just going to finish up because I know we are short on time. Higher interest rates, everybody's freaking out about the fact that interest rates are going higher. That is difficult if you want to buy a house, and it is difficult if you carry high interest credit card debt, because that is just going to keep going higher. However, if you are risk averse, if you do not want a lot of risk, but you want to put some money in a safer investment, take a look at what's called a certificate of deposit, a CD. Right now, a 6-month CD at my local bank is 5%. They're giving you 5% on that. That's an example of where higher interest rates can work for you, or maybe offset some of the risk that you have in other places. And finally, I would urge everyone out there to establish a credit rating. My daughters did that very early, and I'm very proud. My almost 20-year-old daughter actually bought her own car. And she did it all on her own. She saved up the down payment for the car, but she was able to do it because she had a really good credit rating. And I think that's important. You need good credit to do almost anything. So there you have it, Hannah, in a nutshell.
Woo! I was sitting here writing the whole entire time. You're so incredible. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your knowledge.
Of course.
I'm seeing these comments just flying through, and we'll address them. But if you didn't catch the advice about sleep test, emergency fund, making a home purchase, if you can truly afford it, I mean, it's so much knowledge in such a short time. Thank you, Sue, for being with us today. I'm looking forward to seeing you again, and again.
Absolutely.
It was great having you, and thank you for the advice.
Anytime, Hannah. Keep up the good work. I love working with you, and I will see you again very soon.
Thank you. Bye, Sue.
Bye, Hannah. Bye, everybody. Be well.
So next up, we have another incredible speaker. Excuse me. We have such a lineup for you today, and all I can say is, wow, Sue is incredible. I'm definitely going to have to watch the replay just to be able to write down everything that she said and make sure I didn't miss anything. But wow, she's so incredibly knowledge filled, and we need more and more women to really understand the importance of this subject. So my next guest expert is none other than Lauren Weiss. And Lauren is a business productivity specialist. She's a best-selling author. She focuses on helping highly motivated women get ahead, both in business and in life, by leveraging their hormonal and their cycle rhythms. And you're probably all going, what does that mean? And that is a whole nother conversation that we will bring Lauren on to have. Lauren is such a refreshing and revolutionary approach to the way women work, using their cycle to truly align with work, just all kinds of things. And I'm really chopping this up because I'm trying to stay true to time. Lauren is a co-author of a 6-book series called Becoming an Unstoppable Woman, which many of us are all too familiar with. She's just, honestly, she is so intelligent, so magical for so many reasons. She's also a leadership member in the She Rises Studios Collective. And I could continue going on and on. She is from the beautiful state of Kansas in Wichita. And she currently resides with her husband and daughter, and she's working on a solo book, which will come out in 2024. But here's the exciting part. Lauren's going to talk to us today about the future of finance. She's going to talk to us about how technological innovation is changing the financial industry. We're going to talk about Web3. We're going to talk about a few different things. So I'm going to be quiet and bring Lauren on.
Hello. Thank you so much for that introduction. That was awesome. I love being here. And I, to be honest, like to follow behind Sue Herera, which is a legend. Oh my gosh, what an honor.
Right? I'm just like, every time I hear her speak, I get the warm and fuzzy. She's just, the best thing too is she's extraordinarily humble. So keep it humble, ladies. All right, Lauren, take it away.
I'm so excited to be here. Okay, so cryptocurrency. Who here has heard of crypto? Probably some NFTs, some Web3. Well, what exactly is it? So a cryptocurrency is a new form of digital money, and you can trade it just the same as traditional currencies like the US dollar. However, it is the technology that is behind them that makes them different. Now, you may be thinking, you're like, Lauren, why should I care about technology behind my money? I only care about how much money is in my account. And I hear you. I see you. But to become truly unstoppable women in finance, we need to look at all aspects of our fiscal health, including those that are digital. And the truth is that the world's current money system, it has a variety of problems, right? Payment systems are outdated. Middlemen such as banks and brokers take a cut, making transactions expensive and sometimes slow. And let's be real, there's some financial inequality and it's growing around the globe. But cryptocurrencies aim to solve some of these problems. But before we get into cryptocurrencies, let's kind of discuss what is money. And in order for money to be valuable, it must have these characteristics. Enough people must have it, merchants must accept it as a form of payment, and society must trust that it is valuable and that it will remain valuable in the future. And we can see throughout history that what we consider to be money has evolved. I mean, think about it. Thousands of years ago, I could take my 3 chickens and go to the market and buy a dress. But then it kind of evolved, right? It evolved into gold. And can you imagine lugging around blocks of gold every time we went to go pick up groceries? I mean, we'd all have amazing arms like Michelle Obama, and I am here for that, but we'd get pretty tired, right? This is one reason we have small coins and paper money. But because we are constantly looking for things to be more efficient, more effective, and we don't want to carry around a bunch of things, we created credit and debit cards, right? So we can see that things are constantly evolving. And as the world becomes ever more interconnected and the history of humans, let's just be real, the laziness, we can see that an easier, more accessible universal currency, it's just needed. And what is one such of these? Well, Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency invented and the first product of the blockchain. And that blockchain, that's the technology that runs this currency and Web3. This decentralized electronic money is that brainchild of an anonymous entity who goes by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. I'll repeat that, Satoshi Nakamoto, and was released in 2008. I don't know if anyone kind of remembers what was happening during that time, but that was when the Great Recession happened. But let's be honest, just like anything else in life, cryptocurrencies come with their own risks, right? I think Sue had mentioned that earlier. Investments come with a bit of risk. And the 2 most talked about risks are volatility and lack of regulation. And again, just in the same way that the history of stocks and other financial assets has made price changes more predictable, so has the history of cryptocurrencies. And when it comes to regulation, too much of it can be just as risky for investors as not enough of it. Are you still not convinced that cryptocurrencies or any other decentralized money may be a solution for our future of finance? Well, let's look at just a couple more. Reduce corruption. When you give a ton of power to one person or entity, the chances of them abusing the power, it increases, right? But crypto aims to resolve the issue of absolute power by distributing the power among all the members of the network, thus decentralizing it. And really, again, that's the key idea behind that blockchain technology. Second is eliminating extreme money printing. Now, governments have central banks, and central banks have the ability to simply print more money when they are faced with serious economic problems, like, I don't know, a pandemic. And this can actually devalue its currency. And the negative side effects can surpass the original issue, right? I mean, it's almost like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. But most cryptocurrencies have a limited or set amount. And once it's in circulation, a central entity has no easy way to simply just create more to add to its supply. And that kind of causes it to become more stable and actually increase in value. Third is giving people charge of their own money. Now, with traditional cash, you're basically like giving away all of your control to central banks and the government. At any point, your government is able to just simply freeze your account and deny you your funds. For example, here in the US, if you have a business and no legal will, after you pass, they have the right to all of your assets. But with cryptocurrencies, you and only you have access to your funds. And the fourth, which is personally my favorite, is serving the unbanked. Here's a stat for you. Over a third of the Earth's population does not have access to a bank. A third. And the majority of them are women. But cryptocurrencies aim to resolve this issue by spreading digital commerce around the globe so that anyone with a mobile phone can start making financial transactions. And it's a fact that more people have access to phones than to banks. And another fact, that more people have access to mobile phones than toilets. But that's another conversation. So we can see that technology in the financial space is already yielding positive results. Just in 2021, the financial gap between men and women, which had been stuck at 9% worldwide for almost a decade, 10 years, y'all, it decreased to 4%. And I believe that if we keep going, it will be 0. And we know that getting more money into the hands of women is better for her, is better for her family, and her community. Using technology such as cryptocurrency and Web3 and the blockchain inventions could be the answer to doing just that. My goal today was to inspire you to peer into the future of finance and encourage you to educate yourself on the possibility of what's to come. We can be the future of a decentralized financial economy and keep more of our hard-earned cash in our pockets. Thank you.
Wow. Mic drop. You have so many people asking questions, but we'll save it for our Q&A session. Lauren, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge today. It's such a subject that so many are unfamiliar with, but I know that you are going to be one of those game changers. So did I hear you correctly when you said that 1/3 of the women in the world do not have a bank account? I think that's what I heard her say. That is really not good news for us ladies. So I think we need to really dive deeper into changing those statistics. So next up, our next incredible expert today is Dr. Shelby Decker. And Dr. Shelby is going to talk to us today about Show Me the Money, Finding Funding in 2023. And a little bit about Dr. Shelby. She is known for turning ideas into profits by bringing together possibilities. She loves helping others going to a new level of greatness, increased community impact. Dr. Shelby develops value with the individual contribution and streamlining operations. Her doctorate in business administration is in strategy and innovation, and her dissertation on diversity and ROI is in the Library of Congress. She has 2 executive MBAs in leadership, along with a Bachelor of Science in Advertising. So besides her consulting business, Dr. Shelby has leadership roles on boards with nonprofits, corporations, and educational institutes. And Dr. Shelby has contributed to 4 bestsellers and recent new releases. She currently resides in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and she is a caregiver to both of her parents. Her daughter is attending college. She enjoys reading, traveling, and going to community events. The foundation of her very success comes from the community, contribution, education, and strategic action. So with no further ado, please welcome Dr. Shelby Decker. Show me
Hi,
the
everyone.
money.
So great to be here. Wasn't Sue fabulous?
He
And then
was.
Lauren just opened the door for us with a new future that we're going into. It's just great. Well, we're thinking about what we need to do for our own business and seeing what future we're going into because we're taking that type of action. I thought it was very important that we go and discuss the money, the where can we go and find the funding for our businesses, because many of us women do not go and access those funds that are available. And one of the things that I have seen in nonprofits and also working with the veterans, that money sits out there in programs and no one's going and takes advantage of them. So with the stats that Lauren had mentioned, and I just thought it was like perfect follow-up, that we go and address this issue. So, just to give you a little background, in 2021, women owned businesses received a record amount of venture capital or other type of capital versus their own. And it led to companies, or women led companies, to take $28.7 billion. That's a huge chunk of change. And I want to say congratulations to every woman business that did that. But there's still a gap, but we'll get into that in a minute. Right now, that $28.7 billion was a 52% increase from the previous year. So within 1 year, we upped the game by 52%, which is great. However, it's important to note that the funding that we spent that is there, only a small percentage of it is actually women-owned businesses. We're still overcoming some few obstacles that are in the industry. And one of them is the gender bias, that it's very often that women face a bias that men do not have, and that most men have a better opportunity to gain this funding versus women. So that's something that we need to change. The other thing is the lack of access regarding the funding. And it may be our fault and it may not be. It could be a combination of both, but there is funds out there. We need to take advantage of it or it's going to disappear. But not only do we need to take advantage of it, but we need to cry and say, we need more, we need more, we need more. Because watch out, we're doing it. We're a huge part of the economy and we need to have this fund so we could build better. The other thing is the pay gap. Well, we know the pay gap already exists in many of the industries as being paid on the occupational side of it, but it also exists on the business side. And I don't know the reason about it, but it's something that I'm going to investigate for future, because I don't know if it's because of our stereotypes that they don't think we're going to succeed, or if we have not proven to them that we need this money and we are capable of using it. The other area is meeting the financial requirements. There's certain financial requirements on each grant, each loan, each type of investor that may have that we just may not be aware of, or if we don't structure our companies in order to have it. But most of all, and this is the sad part, is our low confidence and our low self-esteem, that we don't think that we're worth it or we're valuable, or, you know, we don't have a reason. Why should we have it? But it's out there and we need to get it. Without the, sufficient funds for our business, we can't even survive, never mind thrive. So it's so crucial that we have some strategies for funding. First of all, we need to understand our needs. What, before you even start looking for funding, why do you need the money? If you want them to show you the money, you have to show them why you need it. Because, I mean, do you need it for purchasing inventory? Are you going to be hiring some employees? Are you going to invest in marketing? Know your business needs so you can go and target the right funding for your business. The other thing is develop a clear and compelling business plan. Many people say, oh, I don't have a plan, I don't need it. Yes, you do. If you're going to go after funding, you need to have a business plan right in order. Because if you sit across from someone and they say, well, what is this? What is that? You could very easily flip to it and say, it's all explained right here. It's right here. Here's my numbers. Here's what my projections are. You need to do that. In addition to that, you have to have a wonderful, precise pitch. You have to totally understand what you need this money for, but not only that, you need to communicate it clearly. You have to be passionate about it. You have to show them that you need this in order to advance. In other words, you got to take them and grab it and say, this is what I need, and I'm not going to let go until I get it. The other one is research and explore various funding options, which is this program, but there's other programs out there that can do it. There's bootstrapping, which we're all doing probably. That's taking our personal funds either by credit cards or personal savings and investing in our businesses. It's the great way to start out. It may not be a long-term situation, but it's a good way to start. But, it also shows your commitment to yourself and you're investing in yourself, like Sue mentioned. Grants and loans for just women entrepreneurs. There are grants and loans just specifically for us. Now, here's the key. Why run after everything else that the guys are going to get? Go for these specific funds. These programs can provide funding without any major collateral or any type of restrictions, or a little bit of restrictions probably. And also the interest rates on these programs are much less than like other things. Be sure to research the programs and the eligibility requirements because each one is totally different. As you know, there's SBA loans, but there's also business lines of credit if you qualify. Equipment financing is another one. Microloans, venture capital, which we just discussed. Peer-to-peer lending. If you know a couple of people who want to lend you money, that is great. I've done that myself on certain circumstances. I've helped a woman dentist to go and purchase some certain equipment, dental equipment that she needed, just to qualify for a lease. Or to purchase some and then also lease others. Merchant cash advances. Some merchant services has programs that you could advance some cash to get you through a little hump. Revenue-based financing based on your sales, what you have done, and also your projections. If you have a history that you can prove. Personal loans, which we know, business incubators, which we mentioned, we need to start taking advantage of that and do our networking. And also there's purchase order financing. I haven't really seen this one, but I am going to look into it for a couple of my clients. And now grants. A lot of people love grants because you don't usually have to repay grants, which is the great thing. But in the ranges of grants come from either nonprofits, community organizations, foundations, but also to large corporations. They are willing to help you develop if you meet their criteria. I've compiled a list for you that has over 40 grants. So that could help you if you're interested. I'm willing to give it to you. Some on the list are Innovate Her Women's Business Challenge. Another one is the Eileen Fisher Women's Owned Business Grant Program. And there is the National Association of Self-Employed Growth Grants, or NASE. So those are only three of the possibilities that is on this list. The other one is leveraging crowdfunding. We all talked, I'm sure we heard about crowdfunding and angel investors. It's a very popular way of trying to get some money. programs like Kickstarter and Indiegogo are ways that you could advertise or put your company out there and see if there's any investors that are interested in supplying you some funding. And building your personal and business credit is another major one. That could be a whole nother seminar in itself and talk. So I'm not really going to get into that. But it's one part of it that you do need to do is you not only have to establish it, you have to monitor it, and you have to continue to build it. And I suggest that you add this to your monthly financial process so you can make sure that you understand where you're going and how to nurture it along the way. Next item that's very important, and you're going to love this, is networking. Expand your networking circles. So many times we go to the same events or it has a one particular thing. You need to expand and maybe even be that only woman in the room that of venture capitalists. You have to go and start learning that financial literacy. You have to understand what's being talked about in the industry. What is available to you? What is the current rates? What qualifies you for this? And not only that, you can use them. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. You can have them help you in the sense of either writing a letter of recommendation, good tips on how to get through it, and connections. So it's very important that you go and expand those networks. Last one, 6, is practice your confidence and persistence in pitching and negotiating funding. Women on a whole are not good with negotiations. It's something that we need to learn. And that, like the other one, like the credit, this could be a whole nother workshop, but finding the right funding can be long and a challenging process. Be persistent. Don't give up. Keep on going. Expect the rejection along the way and use the feedback in order to make your improvements and to your business plan and also your pitch. And then keep trying for the next opportunity. So many women solopreneurs like myself rely on personal savings to start their business. But is it really the best strategy? Explore the pros and cons on the different funding options. As women business owners, we all know how challenging it can be to get funding to start and to grow our business. I recommend that you take the steps of identifying your needs and research the funding programs. Strengthen your business plan and your pitch, and expand your network to include women financial professionals. Be aware of the trends, expect rejection before approval, and most of all, know that I'm here to help you along the way.
Thank you, Dr. Shelby.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to put in the comments, Dr. Shelby, where they can get that list from you or how they can reach you, or we can answer it in Q&A session at the end of the event.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so we're going to keep the flow moving. Before I introduce our next speaker, I'm going to ask those of you who are watching this live to friendly click the share button where you're watching it live from and share this event, because it was completely sponsored and we want every single woman who is online right now to be watching this event. So if you cannot share it because you're watching it from the community group, you can share it from She Rises Studios business page, or you can share it if you are friends with me on my page, Hannah Olivas, which is public, as well as some of the ladies who I believe are sharing this live on theirs. So we have had some incredible speakers. We've heard from Sue Herera. We have heard from Lauren Weiss. We have heard from Dr. Shelby Decker. And each one of them has talked to you about being smart with your money, where investments should be, how to get funding in 2023. And we're going to continue that trend. So my next speaker is all about the money and then some. Her name is Heather Stokes Benton. She, and first and foremost, is a mama. She's a wife. She homeschools, and she's a business owner. She's a creator, motivator, developer, and she does not accept the answer no. And I know that to be true. Anything and anytime the word no comes in, she says, challenge accepted. So there's been a few things that Lauren has experienced, which I think Heather has experienced in life that has really helped her see why it's so important to really understand money, making it work for you instead of you working for your money. And she is going to share that with us today. Shortly. Heather has two incredible daughters who I cannot talk enough about, who should really be on here too, because these two young ladies are little entrepreneurs in the making and have done such an extraordinary job of writing books and so on. There's just so much more I could do with and talk about with Heather. But for time's sake, I'm just going to bring her on. She is the podcast host of Financial GPS Mama, where she talks about all things money. So today, Heather is going to talk to us about multiple streams of income and multiplying your income streams in 2023. So kind of crisscross. So welcome to Women in Finance Workshop, Miss Heather.
I had to unmute myself. Thank you for having me. Like you said, I am a mama first. So I am remote today. So I have a sick kid. So you're getting a nice virtual background. So thank technology for virtual backgrounds. Okay, so like Hannah said, I deal in all facets of money, and I help women better understand how they can take control of their money, make more money, make money while they're sleeping. I help families understand how to build generational wealth. It really is a family affair. So today we're going to focus in on just one topic, because I could talk to you about a million topics all day long. But today I'm going to talk about multiple streams of income. So first, let's really understand what multiple streams of income are and what they do. So just to simplify it, I want you to think of your income as a table. So on one hand, you have only a one leg table. And on the other hand, you have a multiple leg table. So on the one leg table, if the table's base breaks, the whole table falls over, right? So that means if we put all of our eggs in one basket, if we have our entire income is based on only one stream of income, if that income goes away, the entire table falls, which is what we saw happen to lots of people during the pandemic. So if the pandemic taught us anything, it taught us that we need to have multiple streams of income. So now let's look at the table who has multiple legs. So if one of these legs should break or give out, the remaining will help it stand. It may wobble. It may have some problems. We may have to put some little paper underneath one side of the leg, when you get to the restaurant and the table's wobbly. But it's not going to completely fall over. And that is the purpose of multiple streams of income. So most millionaires and most successful people have anywhere from 7 to 10 streams of income. That might seem overwhelming to say. But what you may not realize is you have lots of streams of income at the tips of your fingers that can be easily attainable, especially with all of the technology and abilities and extra things that you can do now in 2023. So let's think about how we can work smart and not hard to get some other streams of income. So, like she said, I have some daughters that do some pretty wonderful things, and I am super proud of them. They themselves had learned to start making multiple streams of income. So let's take a look at just my family and how you can apply some of these basic things myself. First and foremost, I am a business owner. I do have a financial services business. So that is my first stream of income, is my business. Second stream of income, I started writing books. As Hannah mentioned, I am an author. So in 2021, I started co-authoring books with SRS Studios, which I'm forever grateful for. It's been a wonderful collaboration. So that is a second stream of income. 3, I also decided to start a podcast. And really my goal with my podcast was not to make extra money, but it is kind of a sidetrack. So I have been able to monetize my podcast and will continue to do so. And the good news is I get to reach so many people across the world and give and share in that financial education. That is a fourth stream or third stream of income. So my fourth stream of income, of course, is investments, because I do obviously do quite a bit of investments. But like Sue was saying earlier, if you have some extra room that's not going to affect that sleep test, you're not going to lose sleep by using some of your extra money in the stock market, it is a great place to have return. And there are some safe ones, like she was mentioning. There are CDs and different things you can do. And then there's some that are more volatile, but that are inevitably going to make you more money. So sometimes people get scared of the stock market, especially when things get volatile. What I tell you to do is be consistent, because if you're consistently giving even just $50 a month, and then working up to maybe, $300, $400, $500 a month, that consistency means when the stock market is having problems, we have high interest rates, you're getting that stock on sale. So everybody likes the sale, right? Everybody wants to get those jeans 50% off. Well, guess what? Right now you're getting stock market 60% off. And guess what? The price is going to go back up and you're going to own more. So it's not always a bad thing, but it is something you need to do when you're comfortably in a place that you already have your emergency fund, you are stable, and you have extra money that you want to grow. So that can be another stream of income. Now, a creative way to have a stream of income is to make it a family affair. Like she said, my daughters do have their own little things going on. So they decided they wanted to write a book when they saw mom writing books, and I let them publish some books they wrote. So now that's created a stream of income for them. They're also going to be starting a TV show on Phoenix TV, which is launching through She Writes Studios in March. I'm going to have a financial show on there, Get Financially Fit. And starting in May, they will have a TV show on there called, are you ready for it? Why Wait, Be Amazing, because they're kids and they want to do what they can, much as they can do right now. So that's going to be another stream of income for them and another stream of income for me, because we'll be able to sell sponsorships. We're going to be able to monetize that just like we monetize the podcast. And at the same time, we're helping people or reaching people and changing their lives. So it's a win-win situation. Now, while we're advertising our business, we're advertising our books, and we're advertising for our podcasts or TV shows, guess what? There's other cool ways to use that to monetize. A lot of us are advertising for our entrepreneur businesses through Facebook, through YouTube, through Instagram, through Twitter. Well, did you realize you can monetize off of all of those platforms? So if you're putting out Instagram reels to get more attention, to spread your word, to do good in the world, to impact others, or just to have fun, do you know you can monetize on those? Well, if you did it, you should be. It's not hard to fill out the paperwork. If you get so many hits, you're going to make a few bucks. You might even make more than a few bucks, but it's monetization that doesn't cost you anything. Okay, so you can monetize on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And believe me, some of your kids are going to love doing that with you, and start to come up with creative ways to themselves ways. So really, there's not an end to how many streams of income we can make. Sometimes when people hear, oh, multiple streams of income, I don't have time to have 3 businesses. Well, great if you can have 3 businesses, but why not work smart and use fun ways to integrate your family doing things with you, but also things that are already going to improve your business, already going to improve your reach, already going to improve your expansion that you're probably already doing, but not using the most of. So what I want you to do is sit back and think of creative ways to work together and to monetize in inventive ways. Use the technology that we have in 2023 to do that. Even for some single moms that I work with, they say, oh, I don't have any other way to have extra time. And we sit down and look at the fact that, well, they're sitting outside of ballet practice for 2 hours, like myself sometimes, or they are, can't work on the days that the kids have to go to school. But guess what? When the kids are in school, they can go run Uber Eats. They can run Uber rides. They can answer phone calls from home. They can send out and do emails and be personal assistants online for people. So the reality is we're really good at limiting ourselves and making excuses. But what we need to be good at and what we need to get good at is stop making those excuses, stop limiting ourselves, and find creative ways to get out there, make more money. And once you get to a point, like Sue said, where you're in a place where you know that you're stable, you've made those emergency funds and you're in a stable situation, start investing and make money while you sleep. Well, I hope you guys got some things out of this. I'm always happy to help. And you can reach me at Financial GPS at gmail.com. You can find me on Financial GPS Mama on my podcast. You can always find me on She Rise somewhere because I'm here everywhere. And Hannah's laughing. Thank you for listening, and I'm always happy to help. Thanks for having me, Hannah.
Thank you for being here today. I know it's been a little bit of a rough day for you, but we're hoping our little Halen gets better. You had so much, you shared so much in such a little amount of time. I'm hoping you can stick around or come back into for Q&A if you can fit us in. But thank you for sharing everything, and thank you for being a part of the She Rises team as well as the collective. And I'm going to pause on that before we go into our next speaker. And we created a leadership team called the She Rises Studios SRS Collective. We have selected 32 women. We currently have 27 who have stayed in with the journey. And these women were selected because we saw something in them. They are the best of the best. They show true exemplary leadership skills. And a lot of these women that you're hearing from today are from that collective, and we hold them to a higher standard. We're constantly pushing them, constantly learning from them, or where it's kind of a 50-50. We learn, we guide, we share, we grow. But all in all, it's been an incredible journey. The collective launched this year, January of 2023. We had an incredible summit called Up Your Energy. So a lot of the women that you will be seeing throughout the year are exclusively She Rises Studios collective members. Each one is a solopreneur or entrepreneur. Each one is a leader. Each one is a great example of a woman in business. And with that said, for those who are watching that are in the collective, please feel free to click the share button from where you're watching this and share this with your network of people. Even if you're speaking, please share it. That is how we grow and teach other women to join and be a part of Women in Finance, to become leaders, to change some of those stats that were sent out today. Women need to take charge. So with that being said, who I am bringing to the stage next is truly someone who has taken the lead in a race car. And I'm gonna bring her on. I'm gonna say a few things about her. Personally, I have met her in person. I've had the privilege of co-authoring books with her, and there's just something about her that stands out to me. And one of them is, yes, it's her leadership, but more than anything, it's her heart. It's the knowledge. It's the encouragement. She is like the perfect package of a woman in business, a fearless woman. And her name is Martina Kwan. She was born in Hong Kong to a German mother and a Chinese father. Martina Kwan was destined to a life that was different. And boy, when you hear her story, you're going to agree with that. She spent her childhood in Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, but credits living in war-torn Beirut, Lebanon, during the Lebanese War as an experience that defined much of her fearlessness today. So here's the big news. She is a 3-time champion race car driver. And when I got to meet her in person, and I'm 5'2", and Martina's quite a bit taller, and I was like, wow, she is like doing it. And I felt like so small. But it changed immediately as soon as she started talking, and the embracing encouragement that she gave that day. I felt like the little woman in the room. But she changed that. She changed the narrative. She's going to talk to us today about how to orchestrate a divorce without financial disaster. And another thing about Martina, she coaches high-ticket executive women, meaning like she's looking for those leaders herself. So without further ado, I'm just going to bring her on, and I'm going to let her share her knowledge with you today.
Thank you so much, Hannah. It's so wonderful being here, and all the speakers so far, Sue and Shelby and Lauren, Heather, amazing. So thank you for having me. And yeah, today's topic is How to Orchestrate a Divorce Without Financial Disaster, which was actually my chapter in becoming an unstoppable woman in finance. And the reason I thought it was really important is that so many women, when they get married, they sort of stay home, they don't follow their career, and they're the ones taking care of everything at home, the kids, raising, going to ballet, and oftentimes the man is the one who's taking care of the finance. So what I would like to encourage is sometimes divorce is inevitable. And as was the case in my case, it took 5 years of marriage counseling and sort of trying and trying again. And at some point I realized enough was enough. So, but before you indicate to your husband that you are thinking about divorce, I really strongly encourage you to take a look at the finances, right? And really have knowledge about your situation at home. So basically, some states are community states, some are non-community. So first check whether yours is a community state. But basically the assets, the marital assets are, what you own. And then the marital liabilities are the debts or what you owe. So it's really important, first of all, to understand, what do you have? And I encourage you to have a computer with a spreadsheet program like Excel. And it's really not intimidating. It's basically writing, what you would normally write in a notebook, but in a spreadsheet. And it'll really help you get an overview of your finances. So first, start looking around you, right? Write down things in the spreadsheet, look around your home. And so what we want to know is, do we own the home? Do we have a mortgage? So if we have a mortgage, we don't own the home, the bank owns it. Or are you renting? Do you have second or third homes? And I would like you to write down the home, the address, the year that was purchased. Second or third homes. Do you have a ski lodge? Do you have a beach house? Look at the cars, in your garage or that you and your husband drive. Are they owned, leased, or financed? So if you own it, money was given to purchase it. Let's say it was $40,000, took it out of the bank account, gave it to the dealership, you own it. Or you lease the car, meaning that the leasing company actually owns the car and you don't own it. Or you might have financed it. Similar to a mortgage, you borrowed money and you're paying back an amount per month. And after you've paid it off, then you own it. Then you can sell it. So things that you own, you can actually sell. So that's the important thing here. Do you have boats? Do you have RVs? A lot of people during the pandemic bought Airstreams or other things where they could go on vacation and sort of not fly and stuff. What about ATVs or electric bikes? Anything of value in your home. Furniture and fixtures, exercise equipment like a Peloton is not inexpensive, right? Jewelry, other items of value such as collections. Are there baseball cards or stamps or motorcycles? Whatever it is, you kind of want to get a sense of what you've got. And to me, if you're a woman who hasn't been taking care of the finances, what I would strongly encourage you to do is to start looking at the bank statements and the credit card statements. And so one way, if you're not sure of, how many credit cards are floating around, in the household, is to pull a credit report from Experian or TransUnion based on the social security numbers of yourself and your husband, and it will show you your credit score, which we heard is extremely important. But more important is it lists the number of accounts, credit cards that are open and the balances on them. And the balances on the credit cards, the higher they are, the more they affect your credit score. Also, the bank statements tell you cash in the bank accounts, whether they're checking or saving, money market accounts, stocks and bonds, accounts receivable. So you kind of want to get a full sense of where you stand in terms of money coming in. Now, one thing that has been come up and Lauren mentioned is, NFTs, cryptocurrency, and Bitcoins. So it's not as easy to track them, but through the bank statements, you're going to be able to see the transactions that have happened. So it's really important, number one, to keep the peace and sort of inquire with your husband, what is the situation? I kind of want to know. and ask for the login and passwords for your banks, for the credit cards. And it's really your right to know where you stand. And so what Shelby was talking about, a lot of times us women don't feel confident, but it's your right to know where you stand, right? And you really want to do so before it's too late. So one of the things with the bank statement is I'd like you to create a spreadsheet and to go over the bank statements and the credit card statements for the past 5 years. So column 1 would be the date. Column 2 would be the vendor or the source, like AT&T or let's say Chevron or whatever it is. And column 3 is the description of the item. And a lot of times your credit card companies will let you know, well, is it a restaurant charge or is it a merchandise charge? And so you're going to be able to see the story of each month. What is your income? And what are your monthly expenditures? And what's important before you have this divorce conversation in particular is check for all outgoing amounts, because as relationships deteriorate, the tendency is for one or the other to open a separate secret bank account. And so one way for checking for this is that there's an IRS limit of when there's a transfer of money of $10,000 or over, it's reported to the IRS. So check for amounts that are less than that, $89.50, $98.75, or $7,900. And also the other thing is cryptocurrency is typically purchased either through debit card purchases or through wire transfers. So look on the bank statements for that. So I know that I'm running out of time. The final word of advice is, if you're more of a high celebrity divorce, then call into the different high-powered, successful lawyers in town so that he won't be able to use them. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, I would be so happy to help you. I know this is sort of a very intimidating subject, but don't make it be. And also the chapters in the book, and you can reach me at info@martinakwan.com. So I wanted to thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that this helped. And again, if you have any questions, let me know.
Awesome. Thank you, Martina. It was a pleasure listening to you. I know I'm jumping in here in the middle. I hope I didn't confuse anybody too much. But our next speaker, I had to give some credit to. But again, thank you so much, Martina. You shared such an insightful topic that is much needed because it is spoken so little on. And it's, it's the elephant in the room, so to speak. So without further ado, I do want to introduce the lovely Miss Hannah Olivas, of course, my mother. She is an author, a speaker, and founder of She Rises Studios, of course. She was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada, and has paved her way to becoming one of the most influential women of 2023. Not only that, she did and has been going through her own cancer journey since the start of 2017, when she was first diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is an incurable blood cancer. So now more than ever, she has changed her focus to empower other women to become leaders. And therefore, one of her mottos is "The future is female." There's so much to say about, my beautiful mother, Hannah Olivas, but I want her to be able to come up here today and really show her perspective of what it means to become an unstoppable woman in finance. So please welcome Hannah. Oh, and don't forget to unmute yourself.
I do that all the time. Instead of a reminder of time, I need a reminder of mute, unmute, speak, don't speak. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'm so excited to be here for so many reasons. Finance has become such a huge piece of what we speak about, what we teach, what I'm learning, and I just really understand how important it is for women. And I saw that, and I'm going to share that piece with you a little bit later in my talk, but I saw some huge gaps, most recently in the last 9 months during travels, of where women should really be seen, heard, and known. And that is in the finance world. But I'm going to go deeper into that. So I wrote a book along with some incredible other women called Becoming an Unstoppable Woman in Finance. And I wrote it from a perspective of being your own money shero. I've always been one who was taught at a very early age to be independent financially, mentally, physically, emotionally, every which way. I had to be independent. I had to lean on myself. And it kind of turned into this wall that I built, this guard around me. And since we opened up She Rises Studios, that guard, that guarded wall has kind of started to come down. And I've really been open and willing to learn, what does it mean to be financially fit? What does it mean to really, truly be my own money shero? I am married. I have 5 kids. I have 2 incredible, beautiful grandbabies who I love and adore. I have an incredible husband and an incredible community of women who I consider my dearest, truest friends. And so I have all this support and all of this knowledge that I have been privy to. And I want to share it with you, some of the things that I've learned. So, number 1, this is to the woman who is single, who is ready to not survive, but actually thrive from this day forward. This is to the woman who may be going through that divorce, who really doesn't see that there's a rainbow on the other side. Trust me when I tell you there is. This is to the grandmother who has an incredible heart, who may want to do more investing, open a business, spoil their grandbabies, but they feel age is the issue. It's not. It is not. Age is not an issue. To the woman who has gone through financial ruin again and again, this is your year. This is the year for you to be the money shero. How is the big question, right? Everybody's like, how do I do it? How do I do it? How do I do it? The answer is this. Sue gave it within the first 2 minutes of her speech. Invest in yourself. That's the first investment. Do you know what that even means? Does anyone understand investing in yourself? It means self-love, self-care, digging deep into who you really are. What do you really want? Where do you want to be? Creating and designing the life you want to live, and then you implement it. You pave the way yourself. You don't wait for anybody else. You don't stop, start, stop, start. You start and you go and you learn and you lean in to others who have come before you, who have paved the way, like Lauren Weiss, like Martina, like Heather, like so many others who have truly done the work, like Sue Herera, like Joan London, Barbara Walters. All these women have paved the way and created the test and the answers. So we do these workshops, we do these live broadcasts to really give back to you, to pour into you, for you to fully receive and understand what is meant to be in your purpose. So being your shero, your own, very own shero, means that you have bravery, that when you don't know where that next dollar is going to come from, but you know it's going to come, you stay inspired. You can't depend on other people to inspire you. Ladies, you have to be your own inspiration. You have to be your own accountability partner. You have to have strength, tenacity. Educate yourselves. Find a mentor, find a coach, find someone who you can learn from. Part of investing in yourself is investing in that strategist, investing in that business coach, investing in it's the same thing as you going to the gym and investing in a personal trainer. Invest in a financial trainer. Trust me, you do not want to be one of those women we've talked stats about when we're saying they don't have a bank account, but they have a phone. Who wants to be in that 1/3? I know I don't. I know I don't, and I know I'll never be, because I'm surrounded with women who would not allow that. So investing in yourself by forming that she tribe, by learning as much as you possibly can. So when we talk about the word debt or budget, I feel like women are just like, oh my gosh, if I hear that word one more time, what am I going to do? what you're going to do is you're going to get out of debt and you're going to create a budget. That's why those words are there. It's that simple. It's that simple. Money is not a dirty word. Debt is a dirty word. So learn the difference between the two. Budget is not a dirty word. Debt is a dirty word. So how do you get out of debt? Well, you have to get honest with yourself. Look at your banks. Look at your statements. Get with your financial advisor. You have to have that super deep conversation with yourself, that honest conversation. Ladies, are you spending too much money at a Starbucks? Are you shopping to sow your wild oats or heal your wounds? Those are all bad habits. And it leads to financial ruin. It really does. But if you properly plan, if you properly budget, if you focus, when I say focus, I'm saying hyper focus on becoming financially fit, any single person, whether you have 100,000 in debt or 10,000 or $20, that can all change. Even to the single mother who is living paycheck to paycheck, which I was one. I worked 2 jobs. I missed months, years, hours, time, not being with my children just so that I could pay for daycare, just so that I could work. And if the new me now could tell the old me then those simple things, I would be way, way, way more ahead in life. But again, it is not too late for me and it is not too late for you. So figure out, where are you spending? What are you doing? Time is money, right? Time is money. We're all given 24 hours in a day. What do we do with it? Our health is our money. If you're not healthy, your wealth is no good. It's that simple. If you do not take care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally, nothing else matters. So investing in yourself in the sense of self-care, self-love, understanding so many different parts to what it truly means to be financially fit. And then once you've really established who you are, where you want to be, where you are financially, that's when you make a plan. And I'm not saying do it alone. I'm saying bring in someone, invest again in yourself and bring someone and have them coach you or find a mentor. There's so many resources, even just within She Rises, but there's resources everywhere. We are in a world of knowledge right now. I mean, we're on an overflow of knowledge. But of course, I'm more partial to She Rises Studios experts because we know they've done the work. So I'm a little biased there. But an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. You know who said that? It was a man, but he was a smart man, Benjamin Franklin. So we're not this feminine biased group of women. No, we're women who want to be seen, heard, and known, respected, and seen for the talents, the gifts, the education that we bring to the table. And so I went to New York last year. I was a guest on a show on the stock exchange floor. And I looked around as I'm preparing to do this interview, and I'm the only other woman on the floor. There were 3 of us, the host, myself, and my publicist. Everybody else on the stock exchange floor was a man. No offense, guys, but we need more skirts in there. We need more women in there. We do, because we're smart. We're smart. We deserve to be there. And if there's not a table for us in there, we'll make one. We'll make one. I promise you will see us back there again. There's so many different examples that I could give you through the challenges that I have faced as a woman business owner, from being a minority, from being a woman business owner. We're not seen or respected. But it's time to change that, ladies. And the way is by investing in yourself first, believing in your true potential, and just moving forward. You have to move past the fear. You have to step outside of your comfort zone. And knowledge is freaking key. Consistency is the mother of mothers. All of these things you have heard before. I'm not saying anything different than you haven't already heard. It's whether or not it clicked to you this time around. And if it did, then I highly encourage you to get involved somewhere, some way, and get your shit together, because the time has come for you to become financially fit in 2023. So thank you for letting me share today with you my little nuggets, my little insight. And remember this: she rises, she leads, she lives. She is you. Period. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on, and we had to switch roles today. I'm going to bring on our last speaker for today. And I'm kind of biased to her too, for a couple reasons. So our last speaker for today, and then we're going to go into Q&A, and I've seen a ton of questions flying across here. So I want to bring on my daughter, Adriana Luna Carlos. And as I read her bio, it just really doesn't do her justice, but I'm going to follow what she tells me because she's my boss. And Adriana is really, truly a sought after expert in web and graphic design. This kid is mind blowing. I can't even tell you how many times I'm like, I made that. I did that. She is such a beautiful, incredible soul. And I'm not just saying that because she's my kid. I mean, she's just electric. She is the podcast host for She Rises Studios podcast. She is the CEO and co-founder of She Rises Studios. And for the last 10 years, she has embraced her passion in the digital arts field. And let me tell you what, she's a whiz. She has this huge passion for helping women overcome their insecurities and idiosyncrasies. Today and always, this is always something about Adriana. She's always spending time with her family, her husband, and those who just absolutely adore her, which is everybody. So she probably doesn't have a lot of private time to herself. Her focus is to help women rise up, lead, and be unafraid of success. And that's a part of being financially fit, right? You have to be unafraid of success. And she has shown that. So I want to encourage you, for those of you who have not met her, you can find her all across She Rises Studios platforms. But today, she is going to talk to us about how to start investing today and earning within 30 days. So welcome.
Hello. Thank you for the introduction. You had me cracking up, smiling, and of course, honored as always. So thank you so much. And man, I always get in, like, she talked about me having like being excited and having exuberance, but she does something that ignites people's, souls, right? Everyone knows that. That's why they're here. And she did it for me. So I kind of like, yes, I have what I'm going to talk about today, but sometimes it becomes redefined as we learn and listen in from others. So I'm going to start it a little bit differently than I may have. Yes, I'm going to teach you some ways to start making money, and it's going to be, they're going to be fun ways. Some of these things you've already started. Some I'm going to help you look in a different perspective. But my first question to you all, and I want you to put it in the chat, are, when you think of investments, what are 3 types that you think of? Just put whatever comes to mind, write it in there, name 3 different types. Okay. Next, we're going to do, how many of you make an investment at least once a month? Some of you probably already put your heads back because you're like, wait, once a month? I think we're only supposed to do this like once a year or something. Once a month is actually not that much, especially if you're a business owner, you're constantly making moves within your business, right? Okay, how many of you make investments at least once a week? It's a lot, right? Things move so fast paced nowadays that we kind of have to be able to do that. I'm going to tell you something that's, I wasn't necessarily going to share today, but I technically make investments daily. And whether you know it or not, so do you. Like, time is an investment. Commitment is an investment. Money, of course, is an investment. And teaching. A lot of us teach day in and day out to our clients, to our staff, to friends and family. We're constantly giving advice on, what has worked for us, what hasn't worked for us, why has it worked for us. So I want to see some of the different things that you kind of go to. So I see self-care, education, relationships, love. Okay, stocks, houses, bonds. These are all amazing ways. But how many of us right now are business owners? If you're a business owner in any way, shape, or form, write it down in the chat. So I want us to look at things a little bit differently. When it comes to making money, there are a few different ways that you can go about doing this, right? You can work an extra job, you can start your own business, you can invest money in the stock market. But what most people don't realize is that investment can be fun as well as profitable. If you want to make sure that you have a secure financial future, investing your money is one of the best ways to do this. However, not everyone understands what investments are and why they are important. So we went over a lot of traditional investments, but I kind of want to talk about something a little bit different, the way I view the world, and because it's worked for me. So if you're looking for some fun ways to invest, investing, obviously it means putting money into something and hoping that it's profitable to you in the future, right? That's kind of like a baseline definition. But the world of investment constantly changes and it evolves with new opportunities arising all the time. So if you're looking for something, not traditional, here are 3 ways, okay? Number 1, a well-produced website that works for you even when you are not working. How many of you right now have a website and you don't really get any leads? Or you wanted to make the jump to getting a website, but you're afraid because you don't know who to trust, who you can pay, you're investing, and maybe you've started it and it just hasn't gotten anywhere. There's so many stories that I hear because I've been on that side. I do web design. I've done it for 10 plus years before being on the She Rises Studio side of things, to where people came to me and said, Adriana, I have a website, but it's not doing anything for me. So yes, a website is needed, but a well-produced website is what's needed. So what does that mean? Nowadays, the world that we're living in, you have to have a good website. It's an essential part of having a successful business, but it can be hard to know, how to invest in it properly. So when building a website, there's so many things to consider. Hosting, so GoDaddy, there's Wix, there's a ton of different places. Knowing where to get your hosting. Who's going to design it for you? Are you going to design it? Content management system, CMS, analytic tools, search engine optimization, and so much more. It could be easy to get overwhelmed by the numbers of things. And if you just kind of break it apart, it's important to know that this is an essential need for you to be successful. At the end of it all, take the time out of your day and set up a good website that is optimized. And it's going to pay off dividends. It's going to help you create organic growth. And remember, don't forget to maintain it. It's super important. You have to update everything. Okay, number 2, putting time and money into sourcing the right leads. How many people are constantly looking for leads to either sell their service to or their product to? And we don't know where to start. We're just like trying to go to everybody. Are you interested? Are you interested? It doesn't work that way. It's not smart money moves. It's not smart investment. It's no secret that generating leads, is essential for businesses. There's a lot of talk about getting the right leads, but what does it mean and why should you care? First off, let's define what are the right leads and what does it mean? So the right leads are those that have a genuine interest in your product or service and have the potential to convert into paying customers. You want to make sure that as many of your leads as possible fall into this category if you want to have the most bang for your buck. The main advantage of having these right leads is that it increases the likelihood of conversion, right? If you have a large pool of qualified prospects who actually want what you're offering, then it stands to reason that more people will be willing to make a purchase when presented with your offer. This means more money in your pocket. Of course, finding these kinds of right leads isn't always easy, but there are certain steps you can take to increase your chances. For starters, taking some time to understand who is your ideal client and create content tailored towards them. A prime example is what we're doing right now. Why are we creating this workshop? Because we want to attract our ideal client in the sense of we have a passion within She Rises Studios, and that is to educate, celebrate, and uplift women worldwide. And we do that by defining what are the most essential things and important things to women around the world. One of the biggest things is finance. So of course, it's only, it only makes sense that we have a workshop where we bring women leaders from around the world and present them to you here today. So we're able to really show that we are, who we say we are. We're building that credibility and we're attracting our ideal clients. You're watching here today because you wanted to learn something, because you're investing your time. So whether you know it or not, you're investing right now. Okay, number 3. This one is something that's kind of overthought, but it's super simple. Outsourcing things that you do not like to do or that you're not good at. Are you looking for ways, to save money, but also to make money? Yes, saving is huge. So this is kind of a combo. If this is something you're interested in where you want to save and make money at the same time, I think outsourcing is great because, it offsets time for tasks to be completed that doesn't take away from your personal time or something you're not comfortable with doing. Outsourcing can be incredibly effective and it helps save money and resources while giving you the possible, chance to make significant profit. Profit is always awesome, but significant is what the goal is, right? So some things that come about when you do outsourcing are cost savings. Outsourcing, allows you to save on labor costs, especially if you don't have the funds all upfront immediately or resources necessary to hire someone full time. Outsourcing, more of an independent contractor style can really benefit and help you to create and save. Number 2 is it increases your efficiency. Outsourcing allows for more efficient use of your resources and time since someone else is taking care of that task for you, while you can go and focus on building your company. What are the essential moving parts and how can it be expanded without limiting what you can do day in and day out? It's super important when you're talking about expansion of not over expanding, because now you're overexerting your resources and then ultimately it becomes something that collapses. So you have to really watch what it is that you invest your outsourcing to and why you do that. The other part is it's going to create flexibility. With outsourcing comes increased flexibility because there are no long-term commitments required to those involved while hiring someone maybe full-time. And again, this is for beginning stages. Of course, as you grow your company, you're going to want a more solid team and put them in place. But when you're first getting started, outsourcing just does so much for you, for your business, and for your time. So what have we really learned here today? The upside of investing is that it forces people out of their comfort zones and it helps to teach us what makes sense for us in our situation. We're all different. We all have different lives that we're living. Therefore, we all have different amounts of times to invest, whether that's financial or not. So in order to achieve your financial goals, you have to really plan ahead. Decide what do you need now and what do you need within 30 days? What do you need in 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months? Ask yourself these hard questions. They're really important. So as mentioned before, anything it's going to run a risk. But the bigger risk to me is not starting. You're taking a larger risk by not starting today than if you were to invest that $1,000 in that website, because you're delaying time and you only have so much time. So why would you put off what you can start now? Why not start earning sooner? I hope this really makes everyone expand the way that they view their business, the way that they view if you're working for a company and how their mindset works, because whether they talk about it or not, these are all important pieces in a company. So thank you so much. I'm so excited. And I hope you all learned a little bit more on how my brain works and some smart money moves. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
I'm telling you, I need that Post-it note somewhere. Mute, unmute. So I was saying, what an awesome speech all the way around. But the education that you provided, as well as the other ladies today, is there's no measurement of the value. So we're going to dive into the Q&A. And most of the ladies have stayed on so that we could do that. So I'm going to bring them on. except for Sue Herera. She had to go. She's in 2 places at one time, and we all know how that goes. But I wanted to say a special thank you to her, to Lauren Weiss, to Dr. Shelby Decker, to Heather Stokes Benton, to Martina Kwan, and to Adriana for sharing their incredible knowledge and just being with us today. So we're going to dive into question and answer. And so that's for anyone who's watching live. If you have questions that you would like answers to, put them in the chat, and we will get them answered. So here are all the beautiful ladies. Hi, ladies. So every single one of you gave such an amazing bucket full of nuggets. I don't even know where to start. Was there anyone, I know you were all watching the chat. Was there a question that anybody wanted to dive in and answer?
There wasn't necessarily a question, but there was something that I wanted to bring up from your speech in particular, Hannah. And as I was building my talk, there was a stat that I came across by the Financial Alliance for Women. I want you to listen to this. This is really fascinating. It says 73% of women are unsatisfied with their financial services. 73%. But you brought up such a great point that when you were on Wall Street, right? Did you see any women there?
No.
It's interesting. It's another stat was like 78% of the people involved in finance are men. So if we want to make that change to our finances, we have to show up. If obviously, right, it's 73% of women are not happy with what's going on with their money and the services that they're bringing, right? So how awesome would it be for us to come up and invent? Like, we can invent. We are the future of finance, right? You said it yourself, Hannah. Like, the future is female. Like, let's make it happen. Let's be our own Shiro, right? And let's make our finances. Let's build something. That's awesome. So that was just something that I was thinking about. I don't know if it answered anything in particular, but
I think it goes back to us being really comfortable with talking about finance, understanding it. Like for those of us who are married, I encourage money dates. When you go out with your husband and you actually discuss money, that each person has they have access to each other's accounts if they're separate. They have access to all the credit card accounts. They have access to anything and everything that has to do with money. And sometimes those conversations are uncomfortable. So to the married woman, take your man out on a money date. To the single woman, take yourself out on a money date and bring a journal and a pen and write down the honest truth of where you stand, in life and in business. If your personal finances are out of whack, chances are your business finances are going to be out of whack too. So it's really getting comfortable with that. And for this male dominant world that we're in, it is changing. The future is female. It's no pun intended. It's reality, because women are picking up that baton or that torch, and we're saying enough. Like Joan London said, it's one of the biggest things that stuck out to me. She said, get in the room. If you don't know, learn. That's it. It's that simple. You can learn finance. You can learn passive income. You can learn all those different things, but you have to be willing to do the work. Do the work. Even if it hurts, rip the Band-Aid off, do the work. So we have a couple of questions. One of them is, what are some passive incomes that are easy to set up if you don't have a lot of time? Things that I can set up within 1 to 3 months. Who wants to take a stab at that one? Does that mean you want it, Carter?
Well, I will say is setting up passive income that you're going to see a return on in 1 to 3 months is going to be extremely high risk income. So if you have just extra money that you seriously want to just play at and throw at, then go right at it. Those are things like hedge funds and stuff that are out of reach for a lot of us. What now on the setup side, you can set up a podcast, you can set up monetizing on your social media. You can set up other things that can be set up right away and you start earning money right away, right? And that is passive too, because that's money you wouldn't have had that's just kind of coming at you, right? And it may be a little bit of money one week and it might just be cents the next week, and then the following week might be a few $100s, and you never know. And so those things can be set up pretty easily. Monetizing on things that you already have going can be set up right away when you start earning money that way. But as far as like making money in the stock market or an investment, those are things that are better done in the long haul. So say you have a Roth IRA, you can put as little or much into it every month. You can have some months where you put a lot into it. You can put into it once a year. And if you leave your money there for at least 5 years, you can take it out tax free. That's the beauty of the Roth, right? So, and what is also the beauty of the Roth is you normally get anywhere from a 10 to 15% return, which is pretty high. And you're getting it back tax free, which is also really good. So for me, the easiest way for me to get my clients investing, whether it be $25 or $2,500, it doesn't really matter. You can get started investing very easily right away with a Roth, and you can have your kids start investing with a juvenile Roth. Those are really easy ways to start investing. But if you're just looking for a way to start making money while you sleep and you don't have money to invest or time to invest and give, a good way is to find the creative ways that we have now as far as making money. And Lauren might have some other creative ways in Web3. It looks like Martina raised her hand too.
I can't.
And Shelby. Good. We can all contribute.
I would love to say that there are several ways to make money that we often don't think about. Is if you have some designer clothing or shoes or bags lying around in your closet, you can go to realreal.com and they'll come and give a value and sell them, and you get a percentage of the sale. Another way is there's a website called Turo, TURO.com, where you can rent out your car. So let's say you don't have to use your car all the time. You can rent it out and have your photo there and, rent it out for, depending on the car, 100 to 300 or 500 a day. And the other idea is Airbnb. So especially if you have a second or third home, you can easily put it on Airbnb or VRBO. And it's an amazing way to earn money on something that's just sitting there, right? Like a ski condo in Park City. Why is it just sitting there not making money for you? So those are 3 suggestions that I have.
I love that, Martina. Yeah, again, look at what you have and be creative with what you got. Sometimes we're underestimating ourselves.
What I was going to say is that for the younger generation that may be living with you, is that if they are working in a corporate area and their employer does offer that a savings plan and matching program, to take full advantage of it. It was one of the best advices that I had gotten when I was starting out and I was living at home. And he's like, the company matches 6%, and put that full 6% in. You'll never see it. And, he goes, you're not paying rent, because I was living with my parents. But it was that hidden money that helped me out. And eventually I took it and I bought my first property with it. So it really added up very quickly. And people don't think about that. The other thing too is if you're, I want to say in the corporate world too, is that flexible savings account, the FSA. Yes, you have to use it by the end of the year, but it's that pre-tax money that you can take and use, and many people don't take advantage of it. So there's different ways of, I want to say, saving money in the sense, but also if you take it and then you have this passive income plan and say, I want to do it in the long term and that financial goals, that way you can start figuring out and be creative of doing it. Like Martina said, like, oh my goodness, how many of us have clothes that don't either fit us, don't want it, we just like, it was a trend. But you'll be amazed, if you do put it on a website, it will go and it gets out of your closet and it brings in that little piggy bank of stuff. But it's a start. The whole important thing is that you start.
I want to say something, and then we have a couple of questions, one specifically for Lauren and one for Adriana. I want you ladies to think about something when you think of the word money and the word fast. So all or most good things happen in time. And I can truly tell you that each one of us who is sitting on the screen today, this was not an overnight process. So I want you to get away from that shiny object syndrome of dabbling at 100 things at 100 miles per hour instead of focusing on a few things and really taking the time to grow them. And I understand some are in that fight or flight or that sink or swim mode. But even when you're at that point, there's still an answer and there's still a way. And it might even come down to sacrifice. And I'm going to give you a very great and true answer of what that means. When Adriana and I started She Rises Studios, we both still worked full-time jobs. We did the most of the most. Were we tired? Yes. Did we want to quit our jobs? Yes. Did we realize we were being used and abused? Yes. But the bigger picture was, in order for us to continue growing She Rises without debt, without taking out a loan, with starting from literally nothing to what it is today, we had to work hard. We had to make sacrifices. And part of being financially fit is just that. You have to work hard. You have to make sacrifices. And if you're looking for that instant gratification and that quick fix, then yes, call Heather and ask her, what is the most dangerous investment that I can make today? And put all your money there and hope and pray to the money gods that it happens. Or have that conversation, dig deep, do the work, get a financial advisor, or work on the business you have. Why did you start the business you have? That's the question. Instead of like, don't begin something else until you finish something else. Because next thing you know, you're going to be like Hannah in 2018, walking into Liz Landine saying, help, I have 20 notebooks, all these ideas, I've started it all, and nothing's working. She probably laughed at me for days. And that is a true story. So if you're looking for that quick fix, if you're looking to be financially free 60 seconds from now, then you got to do the work and you got to get clear with those intentions. So the two questions that came up, one was from Leslie asking, what is the best way to learn and understand cryptocurrency and the investment? So I'm going to pass that ball to you, Lauren.
Thank you. That's a great question. So there's 3 places in specific that I would start. Coinbase Learn is a really great educational platform. The Binance Academy is also really great. My personal favorite is CoinDesk. That also has a really great podcast that goes along with it. So you can keep up to date on that. All 3 of those are specifically targeted for beginners. So that's where I personally would start. But honestly, it is really just getting into the community. That is the best way to learn. So find, $10, $15, $25 that you feel like you can just play with and jump in, get a wallet, start looking at different communities, and start playing around. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to dive deeper into that. But that's really the answer, is learn or find out how much you're willing to be able to play with and just jump in and experience it for yourself. That's the best way to learn.
Yep. Step out of that comfort zone and dive right in. All right. Our next question is someone who is asking about a website. She's basically saying she has this incredible website, but it's not working for her. How does she make that website work for her and bring a return on investment? Adriana.
Got it. Well, first of all, I want to correct, if it's not making you money, then it's not incredible. Sorry, no offense, but it has to be producing something for you in some way, right? If it's not giving back to you, you have invested in something that's, not returning. So we have to understand what it is in the way that it was created. What was the intent behind it? Did the person that designed it know what you were trying to achieve in the now and in the future? And do you currently continue to update it so that it matches your current business needs? Because if you created it, what it was used for when you first started to where you are now, it could be outdated, just like anything. So I guess the first thing is to assess, what do you have on there on your website? Do you have ways for people to contact you? Is it easy? Are they able to know where your contact button is? If they wanted to schedule calls, or clearly identified a button or a link that lets them contact you? Does it talk about what your mission is right now with your company? Do they know what it is that you do? So there's a lot of questions I would have for that person before I can be able to fully answer. Just kind of like going to therapy, like the answer is never just there in the beginning. You have to explore, you have to ask the right questions, and you have to be willing to be honest with yourself. So if you were looking to just make money for you ASAP without thinking about how that structure would work, then that's probably part of where the issue is. It could be a design flaw. Maybe it wasn't optimized for you, in the sense of maybe most of your clients are on their mobile device, but you can't see it mobilely. So do some research into what your current business needs are and how your website is functioning right now, and break it down. That's the best advice I can give that individual.
Thank you. Our next question is for Dr. Shelby Decker. So we have someone asking, how do I locate grants?
There's several ways that you can locate them. Your local library may be one. There is a website for grants, which usually the county library has access to, that you could very easily get that resource. The other one is the Small Business Administration. They are very helpful, and if they don't have the list of grants, they can also direct you where you can look for them. The Small Business Administration does it. Some local communities, foundations also provide it, and chambers of commerce may be able to help. And then I was just gonna say, the list that I'm willing to provide, they could just find me on Facebook. I'm always in the She Rises community posting, and also there's it's Shelby M. Decker is my Facebook page.
Another question for you, Shelby. We have a young lady who's asking, is it true that there are grants for women minority?
Absolutely. Yep. There's so many grants out there for different categories that you can find. There's one specifically for specific causes, as well as specific programs, and as well as, I want to say, specific categories. And I'm going to say women veterans has their own niche of items. So you have to get very specific in the sense of your industry, but also the category that you're looking to develop. And also, the programs that may overlap. So is it educational? Is it also community? Is it art? Mm-hmm. So all of these different areas, is it relating to a specific age group? Is it for seniors? Is it for children? You have to be able to, I want to say, put the pieces together, but also just don't think in that box and that like, oh, it's all for this one. You have to expand in the reach, and you'll be surprised.
Thank you. So our next question is, what about investing in land? Who wants to take that baby? You're muted.
Oh, Heather. I don't have my real estate license anymore. I was a realtor at one time. What I can tell you is that is one thing what we can't make more of. So we only have as much land as is on this planet. So if you have the opportunity to purchase land and you can, like Sue Herera said, without causing harm to your budget, that you wouldn't be able to turn around and pay taxes on that land or that property or that home or things like that, or not make your payments, then I suggest yes, do it, because it's not going to go down in value. It's only going to go up in value, whether there be, a structure on it or not. But don't do it if it's something where you think, oh, I'll buy it because I can flip it really quick, because there is no guarantee in that. But definitely land or any type of real estate is always a good, solid investment. But it's an investment you need to make with money that you can put aside, and not relying on it as income source immediately in case that doesn't happen. But also, like Martina said, remember that if you do have something sitting there, you can rent it out, even if it's land and you want to let people park boats or trailers on your property. So you can even use empty land site as space, because people need places to park things. So I have friends that do that. And when we owned a limo business, I paid people to park my limos on their property when I didn't have enough to park it on mine. So there's definitely creative things you can do with land if you have that budget to do it.
There's even people who rent their pools. I mean, there's so many avenues of income. And when you said what you just said right now about renting out space for your RV or boat, boy, could I share a story with you. My husband bought a boat. He tried to park it in our driveway, And we have HOA where we are, and they said, no. So needless to say, boat left, my car got towed, and that is a real thing. So if you have property and the space and you want to rent out space to boat owners, RV owners, limo owners, that is an income that comes in every month. So the next question is directed towards Martina. We had a young lady asking, when you are in the first stage of divorce, what is the very first step you should do?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, get knowledge about your entire financial situation, because a lot of times the woman is not in charge. So the first step before you even, talk to your husband is, like I said, is to go over your bank statements, go over the credit card statements. I would ask for the passwords and logins to both, and sort of download the yearly. So each year you can have a yearly summary of each credit card, Amex, Citi, whatever it is, Discover card. And you can then, sort it by what types of income or expenses you're spending. And then the bank statement's the same thing. It's really important to see patterns, right? Mm-hmm. What is a normal monthly expenditure and income, or what stands out in particular months that you want to investigate further? Or were there purchases of cryptocurrency, without you knowing about it? So really get a sense of your entire financial picture before things start getting ugly is really what it is.
Yeah, I totally agree with Martina that you have to make sure you have the documentation to protect yourself. Because if you don't have records of what's there, there's no way of actually proving it was there.
Mm-hmm.
We have a follow-up question asking, if in a relationship, should the woman always have an additional bank account? I think every single person on here should answer that. Because I feel like you're going to hear 6 different perspectives. So I'm going to toss that baby straight to Lauren first.
I do. It's absolutely. I am a firm believer of having your own money and having your own bank account that's very separate. My husband, I love him dearly. We've been married for it's going to be 17 years, and he respects that, which is, I'm so blessed. I understand that, but I've been teaching my daughter. She's 12. She has her own bank account. So my answer to that is absolutely. I think you should have your own separate bank account with your name on it.
Thank you. What about you, Heather?
Okay, so I have both. So we have a joint account, and then I have my own account. And then the girls have green light accounts where they can see what they're saving, what they're earning, what they're investing. So like Lauren, it's important for us to teach our girls to know what to do with their money, where it goes, and things like that. For myself, I do have my own account, and then I have my own business account, and then we do have a joint account. And I think the biggest issue comes in estate planning. So having your own account, whether you be the husband or you be the wife, is completely fine. And I think it's good to have one joint account, and I think it's good to have your own accounts. But just make sure that you do have something written down, that they will have access to that account, because if something happens to you, they are not allowed to go in it. So without establishing that ahead of time with the bank, that's the only caveat to having your own account, is making sure that you include that in your estate plan.
What say you, Dr. Shelby?
I had to push that mute button. Well, when I was married, I had separate accounts, and it was just much easier regarding that. And all the properties had their own accounts also, so it was easy. And you're going to laugh, the checkbooks were all different characters. So it was like, oh no, grab the Mickey Mouse one or grab the Tweety Bird one to write the check, the finances. It was just the easiest way to keep them separate. But in regards to separate accounts, and I'm bringing in another avenue of it, is that I had to do this for my parents, because my mom is in a nursing facility, and they had the joint checking account. And my dad, we went in, I had power of attorney, but the essence is that she had to come into the bank in order to put me on the account or take him off the account. And it really became an issue because she's bedridden. So there is no way whatsoever I could even go pick her up, bring her to the bank, and take her back. So what we had to do is set up a separate account for him and for me to be a part of it. So in case, God forbid, something happens to him, I had access to that. And then I had my own separate account on top of that. And then on top of that, we had to do a separate savings account for me and him. So you have to talk to an attorney. You have to make sure that you protect yourself. And because I know every state too is totally different regarding financial laws, especially in a divorce situation. So it's best to talk not only to a banker, your tax accountant, and an attorney to make sure that you're setting it up correctly to protect yourself.
I love that. My short answer is yes, I believe that you should have a separate account. The two-parter is be honest about having it and transparent about what's in it. Don't be secretive. Think about it the opposite. If you found out your partner had a bank account and you didn't know what was in it or how to have access to it, how would you feel? So yes, you should have one, but be transparent. What do you think, Martina?
When I was married, I had joint accounts, and I feel that if you are married and when you're still happy, that I'd rather not have a separate account. So again, if a marriage is working, then why not?
All right. What about you, Adriana?
I have nothing against it. Currently, I don't have separate accounts, but I actually think, especially just from a younger generation, because there's a lot of stigmas, we don't have to get into that. But I do think that it is important to have your own individually as well as joint, because it creates a sense of independency rather than always being dependent on one another. So it creates a healthy mindset, boundaries and whatnot. Again, being truthful, honest, and forthcoming of what the intent is for that account, what is in there in that account. And like you said, you can talk about that on those money dates. Like you can make it fun if you don't have a partner that helps bring you up, then that's probably not the right partner for you. So even though I don't have it yet, it's something that we plan to do. But again, we want to talk about it. We want to strategize on what the purpose is, and maybe we each want to save for our own things, whatever that might be, because we're still two different people. So I believe that you should deserve to be equally as happy as your, significant other.
It's statistically speaking, most Americans operate out of one bank account, period. And there's still that high statistic too of many who are unbanked, meaning they're doing the envelope system. And it's kind of scary because women fall into both of those. So someone was asking about that. Here's my short message. Envelopes, they don't have legs, so they don't walk anywhere. They don't walk to the bank to go into an investment account. They don't walk anywhere. So if you're operating out of the old school envelope system, just know that exactly what you put in is going to stay that way until you put in again. There is no interest. There is nothing there. For those who operate out of one bank account, how do you keep track of your spending, your savings, etc.? So I believe that there should be a savings account, a bill paying account, an entertainment account. And this is all personal opinion on my side. But I have spent enough time with enough money coaches, and the tune is all the same. If you're operating out of one bank account, you're really not doing yourself service. You're kind of doing a disservice. So we're at the hard stop of 2 p.m. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who joined us today, and a special huge thank you to the incredible speakers that we had on this panel today. If you did not learn something, then hit the replay button and watch it again, because there was a ton of information given out. And you can find each one of these incredible women in the She Rises community across Facebook. You can put their name in and hit the search bar and you will find them. So ladies, congratulations on our Women in Finance 2023 workshop. I think we're going to have to do another one this year. Seems to be a very hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much, ladies. We really,
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Adriana.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, everyone. Have a fantastic